FNAF 1 first launched on August 8, 2014 and became a smash hit online, especially being boosted by various content creators like Markiplier, Corey X Kenshin, and of course Game Theory trying to solve the lore of the first game. All of these cemented the game's popularity online, so it wasn't a surprise that we could be getting a sequel at some point in the future. But nobody expected it to come as quick as it did, being only 2 months after the first game release. On November 10th, 2014, with its first wave of teasers starting just over a month after the first game's release, showing a render of Freddy, but something was different about him, and this was our very first time ever seeing withered Freddy. Then we got our first look at this game's Bonnie, or should I say Bonnies, with the text something borrowed alongside withered Bonnie and something new next to Toy Bonnie. The third teaser we got showed us our Foxies, which we now know as withered Foxy and Toy Mangle. Teaser for number 4 gave us a small look at withered Foxy in the hall while showing us a brand new mechanic of the game, aka the Freddy mask. Then lastly, the fourth teaser showed us just a black screen with a warning symbol on it, but some absolute scientists in the FNAF community decided to brighten up the image, which gave us our first look at this fella. Meet the puppet, arguably one of the most important characters in the entire series, the one who gave the suits life in the first place, but we'll talk more about her later. But now that we've got some background information planted in your mind, today we'll be taking a retrospective look at Five Nights at Freddy's DOS, talking about the gameplay, the mysterious minigames, lore Easter eggs, and in the environment and from the phone calls, as we did last time before placing our events onto a timeline. And I don't think I clarified this last time, but throughout this series I will not be using outside lore sources from the books or movies. So if something doesn't align with, say, Game Theory's massive timeline, it's because I'm not willing to sacrifice my sanity like that by reading all of these books. There's like 30 of those things. But just one more thing for our timeline at the end. This game does take place in 1987 as shown on our payslip at the end of the game. But if you're up to the task, let's take a deep dive into Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Last video we talked about the AI levels of each animatronic and what animatronics are active when, but I didn't really tell you what these mean, so let me cut for a second. The AI levels refer to how likely it is that they will move when given an opportunity to make a move, which is every 3 to 5 seconds, and in this time interval the game will randomly generate a number between 1 and 20. Now if this randomly generated number and the AI value are the same number, for example 4 is a randomly generated number and the AI value of a character is 4, it will take its chance to move. Most animatronics move in stages, which you can see on this map. Of course 0 isn't possible on the RNG generator, so if the AI value is 0 it can't move at all. Luckily that's as technical as I have to go in this video, but let's run through each night and its AI value. Firstly though, I want to acknowledge that we have over double the animatronics as FNAF 1. Luckily the mechanics are mostly simple and similar, and with just a couple odd ones out. In night 1, things are all quiet with everyone on 0 AI difficulty, until 2 AM when Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica reach level 2, and at 3 AM Toy Freddy becomes level 3, meaning that they can all start to move now. Night 2, we get another spike in difficulty, in particular the puppet is now active, and in the prize corner camera, the music box will slowly wind down, and when it runs out... But to stop the puppet from jump scaring you, you just have to hold onto the button in the prize corner camera and wind up the music box. From this night, Withered Foxy, Balloon Bitch and Mangle also become active. Foxy's mechanic is a standout here, as unlike most characters, he's not deterred by the Freddy man, and requires you to flash him with the flashlight in the hall till he regresses back. Balloon Bitch just kind of teleports across the map from his little area all the way to the left vent, and if he gets into your office, he disables your ability to use the light, which in later nights can be a death sentence to Foxy, so make sure to watch out for him and guard from him. Then we have Mangle, who can attack from either the hallway or the vents, and can be warded off by putting on the Freddy head. Here are their AI levels. On night 3, everything is relatively the same, except all of our withered friends come into play, but their mechanics are all deterred by the mask. Withered Bonnie and Chica attack in the opposite vent from their toy counterparts, whilst Freddy comes in from the front hallway. Here are the different AI levels. Night 4 is also basically the same as night 3, with a difficulty increase. I'll just put the AI levels up on screen. Night 5 yet again is just another difficulty increase on from night 4, but I should have mentioned this earlier, but Withered Golden Freddy has been around since night 2. Now he works differently, and every time you pull up your camera he runs a calculation that gives him a movement chance, with this chance being more common each night until night 6, where it is a 1 in 10 opportunity. Night 5 is a 1 in 100 opportunity. Night 6 is yet again another difficulty increase from night 5 and is the hardest challenge in the main game, excluding maxed out custom night. But that is pretty much all for the gameplay aspects, so I think we should move on to the death minigames and some of the hidden implications of those. Firstly, let's talk about the cake minigame, which involves us controlling Freddy Fazbear to take cake to angry children and turn them happy, whilst in the meantime, a strange purple man pulls up in his car outside of the restaurant and slaughters one of the children who is presumably locked out. The second minigame I want to mention is called Foxy Go Go Go, where we play as Foxy coming out from Pirate's Cove into a room full of children, who at first seem very happy. Before the player returns to the curtains, we rinse and repeat this twice, and on the third time we see the purple guy in the corner of the room, and when we go back to approach the kids, they seem to be dead before Foxy jump scares us. It's likely that this represents the missing children's incident, as it has 5 children in the room with us, alongside who I believe is Withered Foxy. I don't think this is the FNAF 1 Foxy. Next up we have Save Them, which involves us playing as Freddy yet again and following the puppet around the pizzeria, as we see 5 dead kids scattered around the place with blood splatters all over the place. After the puppet disappears into his box, we can do a little bit of exploring and find Golden Freddy, who kind of disappears and teleports around the pizzeria, and after a while the minigame just abruptly ends, turning to red and black static. I should also mention that throughout this minigame we do hear a strange robotic voice spelling out "save them" at regular intervals. The final minigame we have to talk about today is called Give Gifts, Give Life. We play as the puppet and are required to give gifts to seemingly 4 dead bodies. Once they've all received gifts, the mask of the original 4 animatronics appear on their heads. I believe this is signifying the puppet as the one who stuffed the kids inside of the suits. However, just as the masks appear on top of the other 4 bodies, a 5th body will spawn in the centre of the room and we will get a Golden Freddy jump scare. Just like in the last minigame, we do have a message being spelt out slowly over time by a robotic voice, this time saying "help them" instead of "save them." In this game, Phone Guy delivers a lot more lore than he does in FNAF 1, and I'll be going through all the important things he says, and I'll be putting quotes up on screen, so pause to read those when I put them up. And let's get started. These phone calls are, first of all, being left for someone taking a summer job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Next, we also get confirmation of another Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria location prior to FNAF 2 that is not the FNAF 1 location, which is likely where the withered animatronics came from. This place also had many negative connotations that came with it. The previous night guard before us has moved to the day shift over mentions of some kind of conditions that he complained about, which I can only imagine is the fact that the animatronics were trying to murder him, and that's like the only thing that comes to mind. Then again, later in the week, we are assigned the day shift. On night 4, we learn that Freddy's is currently under investigation and that the phone guy says it is just a precaution, even though he seemingly knows very little about it. Although later in the same phone call, he does claim that someone may have tampered with the toy animatronics' facial recognition systems that were mentioned in an earlier night's phone call, as the animatronics are acting unusual and seemingly aggressive towards staff members. I believe this to be because the animatronics have witnessed an adult murder a child in the pizzeria, but they could not see the face, so they are being aggressive towards any and all adults. On night 5, he tells us that no previous employees are allowed in the building and the day shift position just became available. And then all of this comes to an abrupt conclusion on night 6 when the phone guy tells us that the place is closed down for a while due to someone using a spare suit in the back to do something. On this night, we also learn about an additional restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner that had been closed for a while, meaning we now know of 2 extra pizzerias or restaurants before the FNAF 2 location, and that they are trying to contact the owners of the restaurant, and I can assume that the yellow suit comes from there. Now it's time to move on to the Easter eggs hidden in this game. There's a lot more stuff in this game, however quite little actually has story relevance, and I'm going to go through those now. Occasionally you may get rare screens of Withered Freddy, Foxy, or Toy Bonnie with their eyes removed. The Toy Bonnie one, I believe, links to Scott's fear of the character throughout the development of FNAF 1, whilst the other 2 connect to the death minigames which I talked about prior. Next, we get the Shadow animatronics, which appear in this game randomly, with Shadow Freddy representing Withered Golden Freddy in his design, and Shadow Bonnie representing Toy Bonnie in his design. Occasionally, when the puppet leaves his box after it winds down, you may see a naked Endo-02 appear there, and then it will move into the vent. As far as I am aware though, it can't jump scare you and is only a visual Easter egg. Up next, we need to talk about the environmental clues and secrets found in the game. Again, I'll only be mentioning ones that could be relevant to the story. Now, the black stains across the floors and walls, as well as the wires hanging down from the ceiling, imply that this location is not being maintained very well. Then at the very end of the week, we see a newspaper that claims the FNAF 2 restaurant has only been open a few short weeks before its closure, and that the newer toy models will be scrapped whilst the old withered ones will be kept in hopes of reorganisation of the company, as well as a rebrand, which ends up becoming Five Nights at Freddy's 1 in the future. Alrighty, it's timeline time. So today we'll be building on from our timeline from the last video, so if you haven't seen yet, make sure to go check out my FNAF 1 retrospective you can find in the iCard or down in the description below. So let's get straight into it. First of all, we can place our very first location, aka Fredbear's, very first on the timeline, followed by the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I believe the Puppet Boy's death happens in Fredbear's. Just a reminder, by Puppet Boy I do mean the child who was locked out in the Give Cakes minigame. Now, I believe the missing children's incident has to have happened at the first Freddy's location, being followed by the puppet giving life to the animatronics and putting them in the suits, which of course leads to the bodily fluids leak, and sometime after all of this, but likely during 1987, we get the FNAF 2 location opening and a second lot of children die at the FNAF 2 location. Then we get the bite of 87 before the new Freddy's location shuts down, and I'm going to place the main gameplay between the second MCI and the bite of 87. Now we can just link this back into the FNAF 1 timeline, as we already know. From Phone Guy calls, the Wizards are refurbished and the FNAF 1 restaurant opened some point in the early 90s, which, as shown in the last video, was determined to be in 1993 based on the minimum wage rate on the pay slip. God, the FNAF community is insane. Now before we wrap up, there are a few loose ends which I'll be mentioning now. First of which being, what are these shadow characters? Are they important or just something that's kind of there? Who is the culprit behind the bite of 87, which is implied to be either Chica or Mangle in the community, and I believe that it was Mangle personally due to the description of the event, but it's open to debate. Then finally, what happened to the new set of kids seemingly killed during FNAF 2's minigames, or are these same kids from the original missing children's incident? Alrighty, and that has been another installment in the FNAF Retrospective series that we're running on the channel. Next we'll be heading forward in time to Fazbear's Frights, and in the meantime I hope to get out a FNAF Movie 2 predictions video, which just based off of some of the plot points that we get in that movie. I know now that some people who watch my videos are waiting for the FNAF sister location in Minecraft video, which is coming. I can confirm the actual build is complete thus far. I'm just looking for good models of the Funtime animatronics to use for the video first. But if I can't find any, I can live without them. And it'll likely come out in April because I want to get some other stuff out first. And the FNAF 3 retrospective will likely be out also in April or May. But if you did enjoy, then make sure to like and subscribe for more, but also join my Discord server. The link is on screen right now and in the description below. Also, I am working on the next part of the Bendy retrospective series, so look out for that. And I hope you all have a great day or night, but goodbye for now.